So Bill Cooper talked back in the 90s about how the way geopolitical events are playing out, they're going by the book of Revelation. And it's either just a convenient script for manipulating a culturally Christian society, or it's a real prophecy playing out. Now, either way, these things are playing out. But I have a few questions about this. Some insights I want to share. Okay. Now, if it's just a script, then Christians are going to look at it and say, well, there's nothing I can do, and why should I stand in the way of things being fulfilled? Why should I do anything about evil? Because the sooner evil conquers the world, the sooner Jesus comes back, right? So, if it's just a script, then the Christians and Christianity, the Christendom is lured into complacency and just lets shit go by. And so villains then go unchallenged, largely, and they conquer the earth. And they own the earth for a period of time. All things fall apart eventually, but the bad guys win, okay? If it's real prophecy, then there's really nothing you actually can do. And it may even be built into the system that because it is a prophecy, if you believe in Jesus, then you must be helpless. Now, I know you're not helpless, but some people, there's nothing you can do. No matter what you do, you're going to be circumvented. No matter how you resist it in any meaningful way, you can't change the course of history, in which case the villains conquer the earth, and then they're destroyed by Jesus, right? Jesus comes and destroys them with the glory of his coming and the sword from his mouth. Okay, I want to talk about that. Because if the bad guys know that Jesus is going to come destroy them, if they fulfill this script, then the most important thing they can do is not fulfill the script, or else they're going to be destroyed by Jesus. Why rush to your own destruction? These guys are looking for life extension technology. They want to live forever. But if they fulfill this messianic plot and Jesus returns as prescribed, as predicted, then they're done for. They're done. Why would they do that? The best way to defeat Jesus would be to make peace between the nations, agree not to have a world government, and use their powers to just be decent, use their great wealth and their influence and their charisma, all that, just to be decent to each other, just to build, hundreds of sovereign countries that, might have their conflicts and their disagreements, but they're not going to push it towards a new world order. They're not going to put a one world order or a single currency system. They're not going to implement anything resembling a mark of the beast system. They might get rid of electronic transactions altogether and say, look, it's really important for us to just have real solid money and use real money and do all these things, all right? They don't. If this is correct, if this is an actual prophecy playing out, a real one, and it can't be changed, it can't be challenged, then these guys are charging towards their own destruction. Where in this version, it's just a script. This lures the Christendom into complacency. All right, the whole, invite the whole world to invade your place and whatever, right? So this gets you just to sit back and wait for someone to save the day, and they conquer the earth. Now, like I said, everything falls apart eventually. But for the foreseeable future, the Bill Gates of the world, the Elon Musk of the world, the George Soros of the world, the Koch brothers, all these billionaire and millionaire philanthropists, whatever, like and their political hangers-on and all the politicians that are blackmailed and the Epstein, they're set. They got you. Can you synthesize the two? What if these assholes think it's just a script? So they use the script to lure you into complacency, which fulfills the actual prophecy. The prophecy is fulfilled by people who think it's just a script. And they bring it about, and then Jesus comes and destroys them by surprise. Like, surprise, it's Jesus! They go, oh shit, it really was true after all. We shouldn't have done that. The safest course of action is to not even risk that. The safest course of action is just to prevent the world empire, prevent all the things that need to be fulfilled, right? No war, pestilence, death, plagues, all that needs to not happen, right? So if you prevent those things from happening, then in a way, if you had a problem with God, well, you've just defeated him because you've thwarted the prophecy. Now, yeah, you don't get to have absolute power on Earth yourself, but on the other hand, you continue to exist. Whereas if Jesus really did come, he'd destroy you. The last thing in the world you want is for biblical prophecy to be fulfilled. So stop fulfilling it if you're a bad guy, or else Jesus will kill you. So I think that's my opinion on this subject. And again, it's not my religion, but straight up, if it's true, these things are playing out. It's either one or the other. It's either just a script or it's just a prophecy, which makes no friggin' sense for the villains because they're going to be destroyed in the end. I mean, if it's true, then their behavior is irrational. The most important thing they can do is prevent any of this from coming about. And if it's just a script, then it's a well-executed plan. All right. Thanks for watching, folks. Brief part 2. What if the elite, I'm going to say the elite as just the broad description of the conspirators and string pullers who are trying to fulfill this biblical prophecy, whether as a script or whether it's a real thing. What if they're not human? What if they're like spiritually mechanical entities and they're programmed to self-destruct? In other words, they're just executing a script. They have no choice. What if they are non-autonomous entities? They have no way to not do this. In other words, in their programming, which is, I'm going to use basic programming. If then decision comes up, like if this decision would monkey wrench or prevent the fulfillment, then they're not allowed to take that path of the program. They have to only make decisions that further the fulfillment. The then questions gives me questions about the nature of God. Why would God use spiritually mechanical entities to do this? Like, they're in human bodies and they age and they die, but they're like not real the way you and I are real. They could just be another form of entity, even a machine. Why would God do that? Why would the Creator need this to happen? Now, maybe that could be just the manifestation of the will of God. Like, look, this is how it's going to happen, so the machines are put in place to make it happen. That's a good question. Now, I have another question. Why would God want the people who are supposed to believe in him to fail to defeat evil? Why, for example, let's consider that anything meaningful you could do to monkey wrench the beast system in any substantive way is going to fail. Like this, it's like anytime you try to do something about it, it's like swimming upstream. It's like swimming upstream in a violent current. You just can't make any headway. Why would the game be rigged like that? It's food for thought. I'd like to know why the game would be rigged like that. Why is reality rigged? Or is in a way, this kind of lends some credence to like simulation theory. What if the simulation's programmed to end and it just has to end this way? There's a script. And yeah, we may be, the bulk of us or enough of us are autonomous actors, but given just, the time it takes to learn, to grow, to become aware, and most of us don't have the power or influence to actually affect it in any meaningful way. Unless somehow we manage to glitch up the system, it's going to reach the end. The plot's going to reach the end, and then the program ends, so to speak. Food for thought. But I'm willing to consider that people like Donald Trump, people like Joe Biden, people like, again, Bill Gates, whoever, all these people, Netanyahu, even in the Ayatollah Khomeini, whoever, all these people, they're biomechanical spiritual entities, and they have to do a script, and maybe they have no choice. They're programmed with this charisma and this drive and just this mechanical purpose to acquire power and to and do these things. This is just hypothesis I'm putting out there. Because, again, If it's a real script, if this is a real prophecy being fulfilled, then these guys are going to be destroyed by it. Now, I have one other hypothesis on that. I'm going to pause this. What if these people are perpetually reincarnating demonic entities that suffer? They are suffering. They are tormented in a way that we may never understand ourselves. And the only relief they really get is, of course, sucking the loosh or spiritual energy out of other people, and they get that obviously when they abuse children and just abuse people in general. But the final end to their suffering is to fulfill the prophecy because Jesus comes and destroys them. Like, their only relief is to try to make this happen. And that is and they'll tell whatever lies and deceptions they have to. They'll do whatever it takes to just to be destroyed. And maybe it's the nature of the angelic beings that fell from heaven. They'd rather be dead than not have access to that dimension ever again. So, they live physically here and they die, but their souls reincarnate somewhere, and then they go through the game again. They power hungry, sociopathic, psychopathic, manipulative, Machiavellian, rise to the top and do the thing they do, and then over and over and over again. And the only way out is to try to make this stuff happen. So that would be their disincentive, right? Like, if you don't want to be destroyed, then obviously you just prevent prophecy from being fulfilled. But if you do want to die, like, there you go. Like, maybe these creatures want to die. And the way out for them may be to try to cause Jesus to arrive and destroy them. All right. That's enough of my speculation. Have a good day.